And there we go. So welcome everybody to Pitch Anything Thursdays. It's a program of the Marietta Innovation Center, Impact Southwest Riverside County, and in SoCal Connect. Take it away, Jay.
And facilitated by Jay Goff. Hi, everybody. So basically what I want to do today is play a video that Oren made. It's based upon Pitch Anything, which is a great book. He also did another book called Flip the Script, How to Make a Customer Think That Your Idea is Their Idea. They're both really good. They delve into the psyche of pitching, getting people to do something that you want them to do, you know, all about sales, marketing, that kind of stuff. And he's got a pretty interesting take on things. So I thought what we'd do is just go ahead and play a short video of his representing one of his concepts. He has lots of these little snippet videos. And then what we can do is kind of go around and talk about whether we agree with it or not, any experiences we've had, how we might be able to use this idea in the future, and just kind of have a general conversation around Oren and his video. So with that being said, Heather, if you want to kick it off, we can view the video.
Let me know if you can't hear it. I think I checked the box, but we'll see. Can you hear it?
Hear it.
I'm Oren Klaff, the author of Pitch Anything. Not long ago,
Uh-oh.
the CEO,
It dropped out.
and she was saying very nicely, how can this pitch our deal better than we can? And she was talking to her.
Sorry, guys.
What happened?
There's this little button you're supposed to check. Here we go. I got it. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Go.
I'm Oren Klaff, the author of Pitch Anything. Not long ago, I was in the conference room of one of the largest ad agencies in America. I was sitting there with the CEO, and she was saying very nicely, how can this pitch our deals better than we can? And she was talking to her chief marketing officer, chief operating officer, chief financial officer. So I don't love being called an idiot by my clients, but I am proud that I could pitch deals better than they can. But how did this all come about? The reason that I can walk into a 25,000 person company and not know anything about the company hardly and be the best pitch person in that company, according to the CEO, is because I follow the blueprint. Let me walk you through the blueprint. So we're just going to do a very simple part of it. Of course, you have to originate. That's where you get a lead. You have a little bit of conversation. Somebody is interested in what you have. Then you have to pitch them the idea, the service, the solution, the investment, the opportunity that you have, and then you have to close them. That's basic stuff. You already know this. Originating, getting a lead, what do? You have to give a short 6-minute pitch, which encapsulates the idea, gets them intrigued about really getting a serious pitch from you. Once that pitch is done, then you enter the deal-making stage, and then obviously move into close. Those are some basic mechanics that you should know. What's most important, and the reason I can walk into your company or any company and probably be the best guy pitching deals, is that I understand there's all these layers and there's content within the layers, right? You better have a content layer at the bottom, what it is you do, the features you have, the benefits. On top of that, you need to perform that content. It needs to be clear. It needs to be interesting. It needs to be charismatic. Not like me, but actually charismatic. That will lead you into having control. Each of these boxes, you should have skills. In origination, the origination box here, you need to have authority. Authority only comes from one thing. Actually, it comes from 19 different things. But there's one thing that's easy to control. When you have done something that is very hard to do, almost anybody who tries it hasn't succeeded, that brings you authority in the origination phase of your process. If you want somebody to believe in you, have certainty that you know what you're doing, and be excited about hearing your pitch, let them know at the beginning in the origination stage that you have accomplished something very difficult. Not that Microsoft is your customer. I don't know how hard it is to get Microsoft. Not that you graduated from Harvard. Every day I meet people who graduated from Harvard. That is hard to do, but is it extremely hard to do and relevant to the deal? I challenge you and email me in return to this. What have you done that is hard to do, the people in your industry and your buyers would instantly respect as difficult and challenging and meaningful, that gives you the authority to pitch them your deal? Once you have that down, you're going to be set up correctly to go in to the pitch. So it's not always just the pitch, it's how you're set up to go into it. And all of that makes closing easy, brainless. It just happens on its own. Closing is not where you need to focus. It's origination, authority, and the correct pitch. I want to hear, what have you done that's actually hard to do?
All right. So first of all, what I'm wondering is, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think I got to do something that's hard to do now.
If you think about it, Scott, there's something you've done, whether it was in the car business or, you do difficult things every day in your job. But if you picked out something that was really, that you didn't think would get done and you did it, that's something that I think people would want to hear about. That's what would set you up.
Yeah, I mean,
so how about, well, I don't know. I would say like CarMax is the second largest place that CarMax has is in Marietta, and you were on the team that brought them there. Something like that would be pretty huge, right?
I mean, that would be huge. Awesome, but I was with the chamber at the time, but we loved having them come in. It was exciting. But I think what he's saying is set yourself up as the authority, right? And that people will appeal to authority, which is to scale. I mean, on one hand, from my philosophical side, we all know appeal to authority is a fallacy of reasoning. It's actually not a way that we're supposed to behave. On the other hand, I think that's how people actually do behave. When you find out that somebody's a real authority and a real success in a market, you stop questioning whether they're right or wrong after that, generally speaking. So I think that there's a human nature point to what he's trying to say, which is, in reality, in the real world, people will follow you if they believe that you are assertive, authoritative, and we have a reason to follow along. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. No question about it. I mean, one of the hardest things that I ever did was start up a company and have no money and have to go out and raise venture capital funding to start the company up, get the seed money, then get the investors believing in the company, then getting more money, and then being able to open up one store in San Jose, California, and then expanding it to 35 stores in 3 years. And that was the hardest thing I ever did. And working with venture capital people was a real hard thing to do for me.
That's a good example. Being able to expand from one store to over 30 stores in 3 years is pretty phenomenal. Not many people could do that. So that would definitely, if you were in retail and you walked into somebody and you said, you just introduced yourself and gave them that talk, I think they'd probably listen.
Yeah, most do, be honest with you. I think that, it's very hard to do it, but I think you have to be factual. I think you have to have confidence. I think you have to really believe with passion what you're doing so that the other person feels that passion and drive and that real authoritativeness that you have over what you do, because you are believing in what you do and it comes through in your pitch.
Yeah. And there's something he talks about is the difference between credibility and authority. I mean, people can find you credible, but they won't see the authority, which is the driver that gets them to make the decision. This guy knows what he's talking about, and I want to do a deal with him, as opposed to lending credibility to your story just makes them believe that, you're an authentic person, but you don't have that authority piece that is like the wow. And, personally, I've experienced that. I've been doing a lot of Zoom pitches, and we're trying to raise money. And I've basically boiled down my introduction is, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I joined 4 other guys back in the late 90s. We had $50,000 and just us. And we were able to raise $60 million from 1,500 private investors over the course of a couple of years and drive that company to revenues of almost $500 million in 5 years. And when you tell somebody that story, even a big CEO, their ears perk up. You can actually see it. You can see their eyebrows raise. I think that's kind of what Oren's talking about. But like you said, Scott and Michael, I mean, if you don't have the charisma, if you don't have the bearing, then it's all going to be for naught.
There were a couple of people on this week's pitch that hopefully they're going to improve their pitch and be more confident in their delivery so that they have believability in their product, because they have great product. The pitch was a little bit off, in my opinion. But that was a good example of some of the pitches there were not as strong as the product that they have to generate to us as investors would want it to be.
Yeah, and I think some of that just comes into understanding your marketplace. I mean, clearly the video we just saw is giving you kind of a highline view of how to build that kind of authority and build that brand really quickly. Remember, most of our life isn't spent doing a pitch. It's not spent doing the really quick authoritarian. There's a reason why this is different. Most credibility comes from relationship building. And when you're trying to relationship build in 3 minutes, that's a whole different ballgame, right? You have to sell something that is incredibly complex, incredibly fast, and incredibly simply, all at the same time. And you also have to take into account who your audience is. So in the case of pitch competitions, where the audience might be kind of local judges from local elected official pools, that's a completely different pitch than what you would do to maybe venture capital or to a highline investor that's really going to drill down into finer details, or to who's looking for a very specific skill set within the people who are presenting. So it takes a lot of ability, I think, to kind of go with the flow and glide your presentation to what it needs to be at that moment. And I think that's where it's more than just planning. It's reading audiences. It's that old line about, the greatness of a person is being able to walk with kings and still keep the common touch. It doesn't matter who you're presenting it to. You're going to read that audience and understand how to convey to them what they need to hear immediately and be able to adjust and adapt quickly.
I disagree with one of your statements there. I pitch every day. You talked about relationship building. I'm pitching to my wife every day so that she is happy after so many years.
Well, we know better than to take an authoritative approach to our wives.
Oh, yes. There's no question about that. There is an approach there. But in business, it's really, when you're pitching and you want to get money, people are looking at not necessarily the product or the content of the product. They're looking at you as the builder of this business. And are you believable? And do you have the drive and passion to help them get a return on their investment? And they're really looking at you and your team of people. Have you surrounded yourself with the right people who are going to be able to deliver what you say you're going to deliver and give me the return I'm looking for on a timely basis?
So, Scott, I'm wondering, when you're selling Murrieta, and it's not an investor pitch, but it's the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're pitching. It could be a car, it could be a city. Do you find that sometimes the pitches go over really well, and sometimes they come off like kind of deflated, depending on what kind of mood you're in, how you feel about meeting these people, anything like that?
Yeah, and Michael's talk was kind of leading me towards this as well. I've always believed in the rule of 10. So in sales, as long as we combine to a 10, the buyer and the seller, we're gonna make a deal. But if I walk in one day and I'm an 8, you better watch out, because you don't have to have much interest on the other end to end up buying. You might be a 2 that day. It doesn't matter. We still got to 10. But if I come in and I'm a 4 and you're in a 4, you're lightly interested and I'm lightly interested in selling, we're not going to get there. So I believe that there's times where businesses come to the city, for example, that really want to come to the city. It does not take a perfect example of salesmanship in order to bring them in. They were already kind of committed or interested walking in. Sometimes they're really fishing around and they've got a light amount of interest, and we really got to work to get them there. And that's when it takes more effort and more determination and more knowledge. You got to know the data sets that they want to talk about. You have to know the information that they want to hear. So yes, absolutely. I believe the rule of 10. I think that you and I combined. So Jay, if I was going to sell you a car today and you're only lightly interested in the car, I got to put on a really good presentation to get your interest in it.
I just bought a car 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but what kind of car was it? Is it really filling your needs at this time? I think we should talk about your long-term goals with your vehicles.
But what I wanted to say was that the guy was awesome. And it was just one of those things where he didn't have what I wanted. He did have what I wanted, but it was way too expensive. And I told him, you know, I'm not going to buy that car. So here's what I want. Keep an eye out for that. I like you as a sales. He was a good salesperson. And he said, well, wait, what if I can get you that car for the price you want? And I'm like, well, it's impossible. I mean, you're taking $10,000 off the price of a $30,000 car. That's not going to happen. And he goes, well, what if I can do it? And I said, well, if you can do it, I'll listen. And I ended up buying the car. And he got down damn close to that $10,000 mark.
Wow.
But it was all about him. I mean, I was ready to walk off the lot. I was done. But it was his presence. And, you know, it's that confidence. So, Gabriel, do you have any thoughts on this?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've been listening to Oren's stuff for a while now, and the only thing I can say is it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I think also you have to be genuine. People have to believe that your pitch is being genuine. And it's not, you can see a pitch coming that is so rehearsed that it's really unbelievable rather than believable. And you have to have a genuine approach to your pitch in order to get people interested. Like probably this car salesperson was to you. You liked him because he was probably genuine. And he wanted to help you. He cared about you. And that was the humanity that he exposed to you that made you stick around and listen to whether he could get you $10,000 off or not.
Well, Michael, if I could jump in on that, Jay, because I love that conversation track. You know, one of the things is we buy things for different reasons, right? Sometimes things are just so good of a deal, we're not going to pass them up. That's when my sales ability can go way downhill, right? So you had a deal point where you were willing to make a deal at a ridiculously good offer, right? When the number got so good that you couldn't pass it up. Now you liked the person long enough to hear him. That's what kept you in the conversation. But at the end of the day, I think you won that battle. So if we're seeing this as a zero-sum game, I think you were the winner in this competition because you ended up getting the deal that you wanted, not the deal that they wanted. Because clearly the price that they had marked on it was for a different buyer at a much different price point. So well done, Jay.
Well, I actually think we both did win this one because the car had been sitting on their lot for 9 months. It was a new car 9 months ago, and today it's last year's model, and they need to move inventory to get their allocation. So they were willing to do whatever they could to move that car within reason. You know, they couldn't take a huge loss on the deal, but I know they didn't make any money on it. But
they didn't profit much on it.
Yeah. But of course, you know, I went through the whole TO process and the sales manager came in and, you know, I understand the whole car game, but the thing worked out really well. But one of the things that this conversation leads me to is an authoritative person can give people confidence to make a decision. I mean, I used to sell stock over the phone. Now this was, you know, it's boiler room. I mean, and you never saw the person, you never met them, and you got them to send. I had a guy send me $250,000 via FedEx.
Jesus.
And the only way you can do that is what my boss told me: stop selling and start telling. You take an authoritative tone with them and you say, look, Bob, we've gone through everything. You understand what the deal is. I know you're interested. Let's just go ahead, fill out the paperwork. I'm going to have FedEx come by tomorrow. They're going to pick up the package. We're going to get you on board, and you're going to be a happy camper. And until then, I was always making friends. I was always trying to let them make the decision. But when I started telling people, get out your checkbook, you know that this is a good deal, you need to write a check, I'm gonna come get FedEx to pick it up. That's when I started selling. I went from the bottom of the sales board to the top in about a month once I realized that I had to take authority.
Well,
And that was,
you improved your closure.
What's that?
You improved your closure delivery.
Yeah.
And that,
Well, I stopped making friends and started telling people what to do.
yeah, basically.
sounds like the Glenn Ross, for anybody who's watched that movie, deal where you became a coffee drinker because coffee is for closers. And from now on, you get the Glengarry deals.
That's right. It was very much like that. It was amazing. Or the movie Boiler Room, if you ever watched that. I watched it. It came out when I was doing that. I went to the movie with my wife and I said, "This is what I do every day, dear." Except without ripping people off. All of our investors made a lot of money. That was the Commonwealth deal.
Yeah, I was just going to say Bernie Madoff was an example of it in his early prime.
Yeah.
Before he got caught.
Yep.
Jay, is there certain personality types that won't work with?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in a lot of times, that's a good thing. If you hit a personality type that's going to be resistant no matter what you do, then you're probably never going to get them closed anyway, right? So
Yes.
That's one thing I learned is a lot of the people that I had thought were my big prospects were actually never going to do the deal. And so it was easier for me to find out that it was a no than to keep calling them for weeks on end, hoping to get to that yes.
Could I get some critiques on a deal that I'm working on?
Sure.
So this owner of a warehouse, I actually knew that he had tried to do some robots and automation previously, but for whatever reason, the previous company got into an argument with somebody in their company. So I knew that he, had attempted this before. So he knew somebody that I knew. So basically, I called him up and I said, I know that you're looking to replace some of your, your employees with robotics and automation. Can we, come down to your warehouse and do a site survey? So he says yes. And the thing about him is he's actually has 2 other people that he assigned to do this task of seeing whether or not he wants to do this deal. I guess he's the kind of person that wants other people to tell him what to do, like his underlings. So we're going to do our site survey tomorrow and see what kind of solutions we can present. And so I guess any advice or?
Yeah. To me, it sounds like it's the perfect opportunity for you to take that authoritative approach, right? Because he's already listening to people. He's listening to his employees, which is probably the people he should not be listening to. So you're the expert. So that's part of what Oren's saying is you need to be the expert. So if you have an example of an automation process that you put in place for a customer that maybe the customer didn't believe, and you made it happen, and it was a great experience for him, that would be something that I would point out, just taking that approach of, I know you're kind of wondering if this is going to work or not, but I can tell you with great certainty, because of what I've done in the past, that we will make this work for you.
So
what do you guys think?
I think one of the things you have to understand is who are the people that you're going to be touring the facility with, and are they a decision maker? or are they just an advisor? And you want to make sure that you give them a reason to get to the decision maker based upon the way you presented yourself and your product to them and what you wanted to do with the warehouse.
Yeah, you always want to talk to the right person. Michael, I completely agree. Jay, I completely agree. Gabriel, you've got an open door to a sale here, man. Look, it's automation in manufacturing. This is like peanut butter and jelly. They're having you there for a reason. They want you to come and explain to them how you're going to make their life easier. They're looking to make life easier. This is your chance to show them how they're going to save money, how they're going to become more efficient, how they're going to improve their business processes. I mean, this is exactly what most manufacturers are looking for today. And to me, once you've got in the door and you get the ability to come in and see what their operation is, I think you're there to pinpoint what their pain points are. And I think you actually are there, you're their solution expert now. So to me, I think you do exactly what you're planning to, which is go in, find out where you guys plug into cleanly and tell them how great it's going to be, because I'm sure there's a reason why Amazon doesn't plan to have the lights on in 10 years, because their robots don't need lights. So get to that point where they can come to understand how much better it's going to be for them to have your services.
One of the things that,
Go ahead, Jay.
just going to say, one of the things that Oren does really well is, he gives stories throughout his books about situations he's been in. And I can tell you of a couple situations where he walked in and, the people were resistant, but he overcame that with just changing the frame of the conversation from, I'm here to sell you something, to I'm here to be the hero and solve your problem.
Sure. Yeah, that's our pitch. Has kind of been, we know you have a problem. Your problem is inventory management. You can't find anything. The problem is labor availability. You can't get enough warehouse employees. So one of the suggestions we were given was, have a long-term plan. Like, okay, these guys are going to need about, approximately $250,000 to about $750,000 worth of robotics and automation. But one of the things they said was start with a phase one, because the problem with this, we got to do this. These guys are doing 8,000 orders a day. So we have to automate in a way that's not going to shut down their entire operations. So do you think that strategy of saying, look, this is the big long-term plan for this warehouse, but we should start with, A, B, and C.
Yeah, clearly you should come in with the plan. They should have no idea how you're going to phase this. You're going to come in and say, here's how we're going to phase this so it's seamless to you. But throughout the process, things are going to gradually shift to more automation. And we know how to do that because that's what we do. I would never expect them to know or have the plan for how this is going to work. For me, you're going to be the expert here. And as Jay says, be authoritarian, but you have to be credible. And you're credible by having the knowledge and plan as to how to execute this.
Yeah, my job is to get you where you want to be with the least pain possible.
Sure. Thanks for the feedback.
I'm excited. I think we should do a follow-up where we hear how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. The site survey is tomorrow. So, the way it works with the site survey is, after we go there, we're going to do our site survey, and then I'm going to come back with the team. And then we're going to talk about what solution is appropriate for this particular warehouse. Then we're going to go and say, hey, we need to meet with the executive team to present the solutions. And I guess when we're presenting the solutions, we should ask them to take out their checkbook.
Yeah.
Well,
As I always say the same thing. We've got our shoes on. Let's dance.
Yep.
We're all here. We're in a buying mood. Let's do it.
I'd have the proposal and contract all drawn out and say, we're all set to go. We figured everything out for you, and all you need to do is sign it. Let's get started.
Okay.
What do you think, Michael?
yeah, I think that's the right approach. I think, though, that overall, even though you're going to come in with a phase strategy, I think you have to give him a global picture of your vision. What is the vision that you foresee, and give him the overall, but then break it down into the phases that you're going to do. Overall, Costco is coming to a site in Marietta, but there are phases into that. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And by the time phase 3 is completed, you're going to be the most efficient retail organization and operation in Riverside County. But I think you have to give him a vision to get his interest. Don't tell him everything. Keep him guessing, but give him a vision.
Yeah, Michael's right. You can get lost in the weeds very easily, especially in big phase projects like this. You want to give the overview and where we're going to get to.
So yeah, because like I mentioned before, we can't shut down his whole operation. So we're gonna have to do this obviously in phases anyway. Like, you know, when his new inventory comes in, it's like, where do we put it? We can't put it in the warehouse because we're gonna be installing, you know, conveyor belts and robots. He's gonna have to stack it outside. And, you know, do we tell him that up front, or just say, don't worry about the details? You know, we'll give you the details as we go. That's kind of like my question.
There's a time and place for the details, but a pitch is not the time and place to get down in the weeds on everything. A pitch is the time to really sit and talk about the big picture, right? The 30,000 foot view. Here's where you're at now. Here's how we're going to grade through the process, and here's where you're going to end up, and here's where we got to get to. And don't worry, along the way, we're going to prepare for the contingencies. But you're absolutely right. There are times when phasing gets a little sloppy. But that's going to be okay because they're going to keep their operation going. You're going to keep your eye on the big picture stuff. What's important? It's not that there's going to be some storage pieces coming in or some movement going on. It's that your operation is going to continue while we're getting you to the next phase.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Let them ask the questions of, well, how is this going to be done? I mean, I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about that. You'll have all the answers for them, but you're not going to tell them up front what component parts are of this deal. You're just going to say this deal is going to make you more efficient and make you a better owner of a business based upon what I'm going to be able to deliver to you over a period of time.
Everything in life has problems, and Michael's completely right. When Jay bought the car, they didn't tell him, hey, these transmissions go out in year 7. Nobody's thinking about year 7. He got the price and the car he wanted today. Yes, someday it's a machine. It will have mechanical breakdown. That's great. We're here to talk about today. We're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one thing, Gabriel, that I have always used in business, and I don't like the word problem, the crutch. I like the word challenge. Here are the challenges. Here are the opportunities. And I'm going to overcome all the challenges with opportunities. Problem, just when you mention the word problem, it kind of turns me off a little bit. It's a negative rather than a challenge is something that's creative. That's just, it's just me. I took the word problems out of every one of my businesses. I didn't want anybody coming into my office and telling me they had a problem.
Yeah.
Challenge.
You don't want to sell it as this is going to be completely painless because they know that you're bullshitting them.
Right.
What you want to say is, obviously, something like this does not happen overnight.
Right.
And there will be bumps in the road, but we're going to be there with you through every step of the way. And we're going to take a lot of the load off of your shoulders.
Jay, I think that's exactly how I describe the development process when we're talking to a new business coming in. Look, we're in California. There's going to be challenges along the way. There always is. There's a hiccup we don't know about today. But the idea is that we're going to work together and we're going to go hand in hand through this process. And we're going to figure it out like we always do.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So when we have executive team buy-in, it's like it's going to be the owner, it's going to be the the CFO, probably the warehouse manager. We know for sure it's 3 people. It's the owner, it's the CFO, and his second in command. So
That makes sense.
Yep. And I imagine they didn't all get together because they're not interested.
Who do you think will be the real decision maker? Because one of them is going to be the one that you want to focus on.
So the second in command, like is, one of the people there actually that we're going to be doing the site survey with does not really want us there. But the second in command has been like pushing this forward because he's a total believer in it. I say it's like, the owner is probably like at a 7, the second in command is probably like a 9. And the IT director, who's our point of contact, is like at a 2. So whenever like the IT director doesn't call us back for like 3 weeks and ignores emails and calls, I call up the technical command and say, hey, wanted to see when we can come do a site survey, and like within hours, we'll get a call back. So I think he's a big believer in it. I think people nowadays are starting to understand more that robotics and automation is not something you can live without for the rest of your business life. So I think it's more of the CFO. It's interesting. We had a conversation with him, and he's like clueless about robotics and automation. I mean, like he just like, oh well, send me some information. So we know how to make those numbers work for him. So that's not really a problem.
Yeah. I was going to say that's going to be the key, is to approach him on his level, right?
Yeah, Jay, but I'm interested in this IT director because, you think of it from their perspective, who's going to do the most work on this? IT, right? This is becoming a tech play for a company, and this IT person's already got them dialed in the way they're comfortable and everything's settled. Now we're talking about a big paradigm shift here. And so to me, the real play is, how do we get the IT director to see that they're going to be the hero of the company when their department's the one that's cutting costs, when their department's making them more efficient? This is their opportunity to really turn this company around. And so I get the other two are on board because they're looking at the big picture. I think the IT person is looking at their picture only. And so, and you can understand why, right? If anybody comes to you and say, I can change your organization, all you have to do is work twice as hard for a little bit. There's a lot of people who shy away from that. But in this instance, they're going to be the hero for the company. They're going to be the one who's going to lead them to the promised land, right? Innovation and robotics and automation within any industrial plant it's going to happen, right? So they can fight it as long as they do, but what's your place in IT if you're not coming into the future, right? If you're not bringing your company into the next generation.
Yeah. And I try to
you
probe
want to
him
be
a
a
little bit
follower
too.
or a leader?
Right.
Because he may be scared. He may be scared that he can't do it. That may be why he's a 2. He may be thinking, oh man, this project, I don't even know if I can handle it. So
right.
but I'm not sure. I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's why I would probe to find out why he's not excited, and then turn that around on him.
Right. Explain to him how you're going to help him know exactly what to do throughout the process, and you're going to be there with him.
Yeah.
When I was going into different companies, Gabriel, if I had a person like that, I tried to do my research prior to meeting with that person so that I could understand what overall globally people thought of him, or what his strengths and what his weaknesses were, so that I could capture the strength and improve his weaknesses with my pitch. And I know you don't have time to do that, but it's really a good way to do it when you're looking at a negative kind of person, and he's trying to protect his job. I mean, that's the key issue too. I mean, you're going to take him out of his comfort zone, and that's where his resistance is coming. He's got resistance to the idea, so you got to overcome his resistance.
It's really funny because of all the people to fear change, IT should be the last one, right? This the most dynamic portion of your industry, and that's the one that's kind of shying away from the challenge. It really should be the other two who are worried about changes in their processes. But that's often the way it goes, right? People look at it from their perspective and their workload.
Yeah, no, it's going to make, it's actually a female. It's going to make her life
Sure.
a million times easier. So yeah, I'll be happy to share with you guys the steps,
That'd be
what
great.
happened.
Yeah, please.
We'll find out next month.
Yeah.
And I want to hear how that car is running next month too.
Now, I already know that in 8 years, you have to junk the car because it's a hybrid. And at that point there, you have to pay like $6,000 to get the
batteries.
drivetrain replaced.
Yep.
I'm coming up my 7th year, and I'm paid off in October.
There you go.
So now I'll own both of my cars.
Yeah, I don't work for the city of Marietta. I work for Visa. I'll never pay anything off.
You're a young guy.
Oh yeah,
You're not in the retirement stage.
I've got my first going to college. My second will go next year. I'm done.
That's,
Yeah,
about, that's about where I was pegging it.
you got to look at fixed income versus the ability to improve your income at this point in time of my life. So the more I pay off, or the more I don't owe anybody, the better off I feel.
Well, well done.
which is good because I went into retirement debt-free, so I did the right strategies.
Way to do it.
Yeah, and we've been able to keep that lifestyle, so that's good.
You're the smart one, Michael.
Even though I'm volunteering and not getting paid for it, but that's okay.
But you're doing a great job and we love you.
Yeah, right. As long as I can help somebody improve their knowledge and their skill level and understanding of what they're doing, that's my reward.
You're
That's it. Just
providing
leave-
huge value.
Yep.
You can't
You
put
leave it-
you can't put a dollar amount to that.
No, you leave places better than you found them.
Yep.
Over and over.
All right. Well, I think that's going to conclude today's meeting.
Who is
Wanna
Jermaine
thank everyone.
Richards?
What's that?
Who's Jermaine Richards?
Oh, I didn't see
They
that.
want to jump on it? Yeah, we got another person.
And Impact SWRC.
That's
Oh,
the,
that's Hilder.
yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Hi.
Okay. But
I'm gonna
Jermaine,
keep my camera off. I'm not in a position to share my camera, but I was just listening to the conversation. Nice to meet everyone.
nice
Hey,
to
good
Nice to meet you too. Feel free to jump in if you ever have any comments, questions, or suggestions.
Absolutely. Good discussion, though.
Thank you.
Great.
Good to meet you.
Well,
Good
we'll
to
see you
meet you.
see you next month.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Okay. Well, thanks, everybody, and look forward to next month. And don't forget, on the 26th, we have 3-Minute Monday.
Gabriel, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. And your confidence will shine.
Yep.
Go get.
Can't wait to hear.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.